Welcome back to Math Maintenance. Today we are going to talk about the distributive property and also simplifying expressions. So the distributive property simply says that if something is in front of a set of parentheses being multiplied through that set of parentheses, you need to multiply it by both the first element in the parentheses and the second element in the parentheses. So the 8 applies to the x and the 8 applies to the 6. The sign in the middle is going to stay the same as we go through the problem. So 8 times x simply becomes 8x. The addition stays the same. 8 times 6 is 48. There's no other simplification I can do of this expression because this 8 has an x connected to it and the 48 does not. So those are not like terms. They need to stay in their own separate worlds. In my next expression, there will be some simplifying I need to do because I have some other x's hanging out over here. So remember, the 7 applies to the 2x and it applies to the 1 going across. 7 times 2x makes 14 x's. Sign stays the same, plus 7 times 1 is 7. I still have this minus 3x. Now, in this expression, I have things that are like terms. I have x's over here, and I have x's over here. So those things can get combined together to simplify this down even more. 14 x's and negative 3 x's leave me with 11 x's plus 7. The 7 and the 11x cannot be combined because this has x's connected to it, and that's just an integer on its own. As I move over here, I now have a different scenario where instead of the number and the x being within the parentheses, the number and the x is on the outside of the parentheses. I would therefore have to distribute the 4x times the 2 and the 4x times the 1. Now before I do that, if I would have checked inside those parentheses, I could have seen that 2 plus 1, both of those are just integers. None of them have variables connected to it. So I could actually simplify within the parentheses first and just get a 3 in there that I would multiply. If I miss that, it'll still work out 8x plus 4x minus 2. 8x plus 4x gives me 12x's minus 2. That's the same thing that I would have gotten if I would have added the 2 plus the 1 and gotten 3, and done 3 times 4x. It works out the same. The 12x and the minus 2 can't be combined because the 12 has x's connected to it and the 2 does not. Last problem for us to take a look at here together. I'm going to check that parentheses first. 6 is an integer, 1 is an integer. There's no x's within there. So I can skip this distributive property idea and just combine this together to be a 7. That'll save me a step. 3x times 7 gives me 21 x's minus 7 plus an x. I have 21 x's over here. I have another x on the end. That gives me 22 x's minus 7. The 7 is an integer. The 22 is connected to our values or our variable, and so we can't combine them together. Today in your packet, you have a page like this that says to practice the distributive property. Make sure that you're checking those parentheses and distributing just like we did. The value outside goes to both values inside the expression. Your digital practice for today is a self-correcting Google activity, so you will put in your answers and it'll let you know whether you're right or wrong. Your game today practices the distributive property, but more specifically, combining like terms within expressions. Good luck practicing your algebraic expressions.